Need for Speed. A loving series that started back in 1994 and is still going strong to this day. Unlike Gran Turismo and Forza, Need for Speed tends to change its tone with every release. Whether that be underground street racing, on-track and simulation, a basic career mode, or story-driven campaign where you play as an undercover cop, or trying to escape the mafia, or trying to earn your reputation back. Need for Speed always tries to innovate with each entry of the series. Now sometimes they strike gold, and sometimes they just fall flat on their face. Now over the years, I feel Need for Speed has been one of those games in the series where it's still trying to find its identity. They knew for a few years what they were back with the Underground series leading all the way to Carbon, and then they tried releasing Pro Street. I personally really like Pro Street, but I knew a lot of people who were fans of Need for Speed that were pissed when Pro Street came out. They dropped the cop chasing, you were no longer a full-fledged street racer, and it felt more like a Gran Turismo game but with a Need for Speed flair to it. This dramatic change from Carbon to this was night and day, and that turned a lot of people off. So with that reception, they went back to the drawing board and released Need for Speed Undercover the following year. You were back on the illegal street racing scene, cop chases, dodging traffic, a campaign that was filmed in the way of Most Wanted and Carbon, but the game was received horribly. I don't think it's a terrible game, but certainly not a good one. So with Pro Street getting ridiculed for not being like the Most Wanted series and Undercover for just not being good enough, EA just said, fuck it. We're gonna let Slightly Mad Studios take it from here and release Need for Speed Shift. Oh, you thought Pro Street was trying too hard to be like Gran Turismo? Welcome to first person cockpit driving simulation, bitch. But you know what? I really like Shift. I think it was a good game, but then after that, Criterion came around and made Hot Pursuit, and a game not worthy of the Most Wanted name. But that's a story for a whole other time. For me, I just want to go back to the glory days of Need for Speed Underground. They were arguably the best two games of the whole series, but I'm getting ahead of myself. I mean, they tried to revive that with a reboot in 2015, but to me it just felt like an aging franchise that was trying too hard to strike lightning in a bottle twice like they did back in 2003. I mean, let's be honest. When Underground came out, this changed Need for Speed forever. But the game that came out before this, in 2002, was probably the last entry of the series that actually just felt like a normal arcade racing game. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2.
31 County.
I copy 31.
Turning on a speeder that just flew by me.
1-on-1, 2-on-1, 3-on-1, and 1 fun.
Hot Pursuit 2 was released for PS2, Xbox, GameCube, and PC. I was 7 years old when this game came out and was my first taste of the Need for Speed series and my first PS2 game. I remember fond memories of driving my red Ford TS50 that I just now realize is right-hand drive. Well, as I grew older, I also noticed that the PS2 version was made by a completely different developer than the Xbox, GameCube, and PC version. Why? I don't know, and honestly I don't care. I grew up with the PS2 version, and that's the one we're here to talk about. So pretty much the premise of this entry in the Need for Speed series is to compete in two different kinds of career modes, Championship and Hot Pursuit. Championship is just racing against the AI in light, heavy traffic with a 32 level tree of races to choose from. And Hot Pursuit is pretty much self-explanatory. You compete in races while evading the police. Other difference is bit heavier traffic. Hot Pursuit has 30 challenges instead of 32. There's also a You're the Cop mode, but there aren't any challenges for it. Just pick a cop car, track, and take down those street racers. I feel like they could have done more with this mode in terms of challenges, but it feels more like an afterthought with this mode in the game, honestly. Still fun to play from time to time, but not a reason for me to return to the game. The most fun I had was participating in the championship races. I find it funny that they marketed this game for the cop chases, but it felt like they focused more on the championship events than anything else. It just feels more fleshed out for some reason. I don't know. The tracks are fun to race on and the variety of cars are nice. You have a total of 44 race cars along with the 5 cop cars. You have cars ranging from Ford, Lotus, BMW, Jaguar, all the way to Ferrari and Lamborghini and the beautiful McLaren F1. The way to unlock cars is primarily through completing the challenges from the tree. Sometimes you'll win a car, or unlock a new track, or the ability to just progress through the tree. The types of races range from circuit, sprint, time trials, lap knockouts, and tournaments. Hot Pursuit mode is literally the same thing, but just dealing with the annoying ass cops. And when I say annoying, I mean they are just fucking ridiculous. They literally use nitrous oxide to keep up with you, and they are ruthless. They have freaking helicopters dropping flaming barrels from the sky for you to drive into. What the fuck? And what makes me laugh is the 3-strike system. If you're in the middle of a race and a cop corners you, you are arrested, but then just continue on to the race. I mean, what? I mean, I guess that's cool, because when that happens, your wanted level starts back at 0. Speaking of which, that wanted level goes up so quick. You could be in the middle of a lap and go from 0 to 4 stars in less than a minute. They don't even try to stop you themselves. They say, screw this, bring in those barrels of death. The other very minor difference I found was that in Hot Pursuit mode, the music playing in the background isn't the same as in Championship. It's just the instrumental remixes of the soundtrack. Why? I mean, why? So before a race, you get to choose which transmission you want, and from either classic handling or extreme. The only difference between the two that I found is that extreme feels like the traction control is off and the car just slides a lot more. So unless you like drifting around corners and oversteer, then extreme is the way to go for you. I've also noticed that extreme is better in Hot Pursuit mode when trying to evade the police, because classic mode just feels way too stiff trying to dodge these bitches. One thing I thought that was pretty cool was one challenge where you get to drive the Ferrari F50 and you can race inside the cockpit. Why they only thought to do that with only one car is beyond me, but nonetheless, still cool. So like I said from the beginning, a very simple arcade racer. Sometimes it's nice to get away from the crazy spectacle of tricked out racers and simulations and just play a classic racing game. Hot Pursuit 2 will always hold a special place in my heart. From the dumb and out of control cop chases, to the relaxing feeling of driving 100+ miles per hour in the desert, and that kick-ass soundtrack to help you lead the race to the finish line.